January 31st, 2021, I think every single Detroit Lions fan knew exactly where they were when the news came down that Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford were going to trade places. I mean, this is a trade that shook up the NFL. And I remember so many conversations with so many different people at this time. It's hard to imagine. It's almost 5 years ago. But tonight, we had an opportunity to listen to the new quarterback series or watch the new quarterback series on Netflix. And I'm not going to spoil all of it for you. But I am going to bring in the part where Jared Goff discusses Sean McVay's maturity. I mean, the Detroit Lions got a haul, right? They got Jared Goff, former first-round draft pick, and they got 2 first-round picks in future drafts. And they saved a ton of money on cap space with Matthew Stafford going to the Rams. I couldn't believe this trade went down. But then to hear all the things that Sean McVay was saying about Jared Goff, and I mean, the media picked it up, and everybody was just trashing the guy. But you know what? There was a lot of Lions fans that were too. They didn't want Jared Goff. That wasn't their quarterback. Matthew Stafford was. Their feelings were hurt. And then the Rams go to the Super Bowl. And many Lions fans like myself, of course, I was cheering for Matthew Stafford. How could I not? I wanted to see the guy win. But I didn't want to see him win at the expense of Jared Goff. And I definitely didn't want to see Jared Goff's career go into the dumps. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, Detroit was a place where your career was going to die. We had no idea what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes were going to become. All we knew was that season in 2021, the Lions were 3-13-1, and the Rams were winning a Super Bowl. Stark difference between the two teams and the two quarterbacks. But tonight, we had an opportunity to listen to the new quarterback series or watch the new quarterback series on Netflix. And I'm not going to spoil all of it for you. But I am going to bring in the part where Jared Goff discusses Sean McVay's maturity and what went down during this trade and the pure emotion that just ran through Goff's veins. Comes out on the screen. Let's take a look at the screen now and listen to what Sean McVay had to say, what Jared Goff had to say about Sean McVay.
So 2020 season happens. 3 weeks after the last game of the season, get a call from Sean, and really did not expect anything. He lets me know, they're trading me to Detroit, and I'm kind of like, oh, whoa, okay, all right. What the hell, what's happening? And I would say about 30 seconds after that phone call, it was on Twitter.
It is monster news, a blockbuster trade in the NFL.
Lions have traded quarterback Matthew Stafford to the Rams.
I don't know if Jared Goff going to the Lions is going to make him better. In fact, the Lions aren't very good, and compared to the Rams, it's not even close.
You feel like you've been betrayed or like you're not wanted, and I think for me, ultimately, it was the fact that there wasn't a conversation had, and that there wasn't like a, hey, we're thinking about moving on type of thing. There was nothing. You wish that it wasn't such a blindside, and you wish that there was some sort of maturity, I guess, to have that conversation and to be able to let me know what's going on and how things went down and why this is happening. It was my first real taste of true adversity, and your career is kind of at a fork in the road.
Sean McVay, man, really trashed Jared Goff. Like I said, the media picked this up and they ran with it. And as you can tell, Jared Goff feels betrayed from this whole scenario. He felt at least he was owed a conversation, maybe a heads up, a warning shot to say, hey, bud, we're going to go in a different direction. And like he said, I wanted to at least know why. Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay are down in Cabo having Mai Tais and pina coladas, and Jared Goff is at home getting a random phone call, and 30 seconds later, it's all over Twitter. It's just not the way to handle it. Sean McVay totally fumbled the situation. But you know how happy we are for Jared Goff right now to having beat the Rams every single time they matched up except for the one season. And now they get another shot at him again this year. Feels good for Jared Goff. It has to. Especially that playoff win. The first playoff win in more than 30 seasons in Detroit. But not having any communication at all from Sean McVay. None from the team. The general manager. Nobody. You can imagine how you would feel if you're sitting at home and your phone rang and your boss says, hey, sorry, you're fired. Or, hey, sorry, we're transferring you out to a new location 1,000 miles away. You'd be pissed, right? You'd be looking at your family like, I don't know what to do here. You'd be upset too. Jared Goff had every right to have some feelings, but more importantly, he had a right to at least a conversation, man. Just a couple of decent words to say it just wasn't working for us. You know? Here's my take on the whole McVay thing, because he's kind of retracted some of the things that he said. You know, he said how happy he is for Goff, and Goff is playing really good football and those things. But McVay is the one that squandered the Rams team. He's the one that failed to win a Super Bowl, you know, with some teams between 2018 and 2020. That was on him, right? What happened in that Packers game, and I'm glad that Jared Goff is kicking the snot out of the Packers too, because that didn't feel good for him, but it was McVay's fault. It's the coach's fault. It wasn't so much Jared. Maybe Jared didn't have a great game, but how much of that was on the coach, putting him in those situations? He was the one calling the plays. There was no offensive coordinator like Ben Johnson. As a matter of fact, you know, to think that Matthew Stafford led that team to a Super Bowl after Goff, you know, lost the Super Bowl in 2018, or he was the quarterback when the Rams lost in 2018, is kind of bittersweet, right? But Matthew Stafford didn't do it with the same team. He did it with a much better defense and a much better offense than what Jared Goff had. And the players that were around when Jared Goff was there were a little bit older and wiser in 2021. So we can't really compare the two, but we can compare them now that they're on opposite sides and they're facing each other now for multiple times in the last couple of years. Jared Goff, in his quote, "You feel like you've been betrayed or like you are not wanted," is powerful, man. Football players go through this every single day. But this is different, right? You're the captain of a team. You're a number 1 draft pick. You were just at a Super Bowl 2 years ago. And now, like he says, you feel betrayed because it's like the girlfriend that said, "Nah, it's my fault. It's not your fault. It's my fault." That didn't even happen, right? He didn't even get anything from Sean McVay to say what the real problem was. How could he get better as a quarterback if he didn't know, right? What was there leading up to that maybe Jared Goff would have taken away from this relationship to say, now I see what I was doing and you know, I needed to get better. But it is what it is. Goff was blindsided. And now this opportunity for Jared Goff to build his own legacy in Detroit began. And look where we are now, right? In 4 short seasons, they've had 4 playoff appearances, 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 NFC championship, a number 1 seed, right? Back-to-back NFC North. And now they're about to do it all over again. You know, when Ben Johnson walked in as the tactician for that offense in Detroit and was handed the reins, I mean, that chemistry that happened between them was beautiful. And I don't expect it to go away. But, you know, in 2023, Jared Goff led to a 12-5 record, led the Lions to a 12-5 record in the NFC Championship with Ben Johnson, right? And Ben Johnson, not much different than Sean McVay's offense, right? The same kind of plays, same style of offense. I mean, you could compare the two offenses, kind of the same players, to be honest with you. The way that, you know, where they targeted the ball and how they moved the ball. A lot of similarities. 2024, I mean, Jared Goff posting career highs, 37 TDs, 111.8 passer rating. Jared Goff's had it all. And no, it's not going to fall off in 2025 at all. But, man, I thought this was powerful, man. The fact that, you know, Dan Campbell has said as much that, you know, Jared's a winner, right? Jared, you're good enough for Detroit. We know that. Jared's always been good enough for Detroit. I mean, Jared is doing Jared things, man, and I think that he's going to continue it this year. Well, I hope I didn't spoil a whole lot for you with the Netflix series, and I'm going to end the video like this, man. Please do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.